Hello and welcome to another event broadcast by the Florida Aviation Network through an effort of the National Aviation Safety Foundation. I'm Ron Timmermans, a pilot and a flight instructor from Orlando, Florida, and I serve as one of the many hosts for the Florida Aviation Network, which highlights aviation events from across the United States. The Florida Aviation Network's education and training is free to the public and is dedicated to improving aviation safety. Have you heard of the General Aviation Awards? That's great if you're already familiar, but if not, let me tell you. Selecting winners for these prestigious awards is a cooperative effort between the FAA and various members of the aviation industry and is meant to recognize excellence in our industry's professions of flight instruction, aviation maintenance, and by our FAA safety FAST team representatives. It includes 3 levels of competition, with nominees being reviewed first at the local FAA FSDO, Flight Standard District Office level, where a winner is declared in each of the aforementioned areas. There are winners at each of the more than 70 FSDOs throughout the U.S., and then these FSDO winners are next reviewed at the 4 FAA regional levels for selection as the regional CFI, Regional Aviation Technician, and Regional FAST Team Representative winners. Finally, these nominees are forwarded to the General Aviation Industry Committee for selection of national winners in each of the categories: CFI of the Year, Aviation Tech of the Year, and FAST Team Representative of the Year. So each year, the Florida Aviation Network recognizes the FAA's regional award winners for our particular region in each of the categories and presents them with a special plaque recognizing their accomplishments, and broadcasts a live interview with them during the annual Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo event in Lakeland, Florida. However, this year, as you may know, Sun and Fun was canceled. So we decided to showcase these winners in pre-recorded interviews broadcast by the Florida Aviation Network, and that's what you are now watching. I'm pleased now to introduce you to one of these special GA award winners, Mr. Jim Pitman from Glendale, Arizona, the Regional CFI of the Year. Jim, please accept my heartfelt congratulations on your accomplishments and well-deserved award. Welcome to our broadcast today.
Thank you, Ron. It's good to be here with you.
All right. Well, good. So, Jim, I want our audience to know a little bit more about you. And could you give us just a few highlights from your professional career in aviation, which is broad and extensive, I'm sure?
Sure. The quick summary of the flying part of my life is I started flying at a young age in 92, got my private certificate in 93, decided right away I wanted to be a career instructor. Started doing that in 97, and then, oh goodness, had a few different jobs in management, chief flight instructor, Cessna aircraft, various things over the years as I was a professional flight instructor. And then a few years ago, got a fun idea to do an experiment and join the airline world. So I'm a first officer with SkyWest now. I've been doing that for almost 4 years, and then just about a year ago became a designated pilot examiner. So primary career is still as a flight instructor, and the other things add a lot of flavor.
Wow, well that's quite a resume already for just starting flying in the 90s. So you've amassed a number of hours, I imagine. How many hours?
About 6,200 and some.
Wow, good. And then how many of those hours are flight instruction?
Goodness, about 4,000, I think.
Wow, that's quite an impressive number as well. And you no doubt know of Rod Machado. He says the successful flight instructor is one who can learn, who can fly with aviators who are not the best and can learn to perspire only on the right side of your face so that you don't make them more nervous. Well, Jim, I'm sure with all that experience, you too have been well trained, and you probably continue your training and self-development periodically. What have you accomplished recently in these areas, if I may know?
So the WINGS program is a big part of my curriculum. I'm a big fan of that, and so that's the official stuff. I've also found that a great way to stay up to date on things is with podcasts, especially when I'm driving around. I really enjoy listening to the Finer Points with Jason Miller and Max Trescott's Aviation News Talk. Those are ways that I feel like I kind of stay in the loop and fresh on any changes that are coming. And then, of course, I have formal training from the FAA both as a fast team representative and a designated pilot examiner. So always meetings and homework and study. And then of course through the airline, we have regular training we do both online and for me as a first officer, it's annual training with the company. So it's always something to learn.
There is. I often tell my pilot clients that I'm a perpetual student of aviation, and you should be too. So I think that goes for all of us. So, well, great. Well, Jim, dedicated aviation professionals like you no doubt volunteer your efforts sometimes as well and provide pro bono service to the aviation community. Can you share with us what you sometimes do as a volunteer?
Yeah, so we have a great group here in Arizona. Several years ago, I guess it's been about 17 years now, we started a group called the Arizona Flight Training Workgroup. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the founding members of that group and still participate and volunteer my time there. We basically help to organize the practice areas. Here in the Phoenix area, we have a lot of training, a lot of traffic. And so we've put into place a lot of recommended procedures and best practices. So that's been a big part of my volunteer work over the years. I'm also active with Angel Flight. Out here it's Angel Flight West. Great organization doing voluntary transportation for people who need help. And I don't own my own airplane, but I've been blessed to have clients that have airplanes that work with me on that, and been able to help a lot of people through Angel Flight. And as far as volunteer work, I'm always happy to mentor people one-on-one. I'm passionate about flight training and doing it effectively, and so I spend a fair amount of time just on the phone or Zoom calls, coaching and mentoring people that are looking for guidance. So those are probably the biggest areas.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a very active a time when you're volunteering your time, and I appreciate what you do for the aviation community. I'm particularly interested in what you said you do with the local Arizona flying community, trying to make safer pilots flying around in very busy and congested airspace in the Phoenix area. So that's great. Well, I'm pleased to hear that. Well, Jim, so sometimes you, I imagine, get to do some flying just on your own with another client without being an instructor or going is there someplace special that you like to fly?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is right here in my backyard. I live in North Phoenix, and Sedona, Arizona is known for being a destination for all types of people, but especially the airport there up on top of a mesa. And they redid the restaurant several years back, so it's actually a nice restaurant now. And a great place to go. So definitely one of my favorites. Usually, I don't want to say that I'm all work and no play. I was actually very intentional at a young age to choose a career that is my play. So usually I'm with a client or two, and whether it's practicing instrument approaches or doing a VFR cross country, we'll usually find a way sooner or later to make it into Sedona, enjoy the scenery, and maybe get something to eat. So definitely recommend it for anyone that hasn't been there. There's some great YouTube videos if you do a search and see what it looks like from other pilots.
Yes, indeed. I was just watching a YouTube video of flying in and around the Sedona area just a couple of days ago, and I believe it was December of last year. I was flying from Florida to the Phoenix area with a new client, helping him transition to his Bonanza. And while we did some transition training in the Phoenix area, we went up to Sedona and flew in there, landed on the mesa. It's a beautiful place to land, as well as looking at the rocks all around it, and ate in the restaurant. And so I would concur all those things that you said about it being a great destination place to go. So that's if it's not on your bucket list, folks, it should be if you get in around the Sedona area. And then finally, Jim, I'm sure you have a safety message that would be worthy of sharing with our audience. Is there something that you would like to give us that helps us focus on safety?
Well, the first thing comes to mind is something I'm passionate about with bringing up flight instructors. And I guess at least broadly it's safety related, and that is understanding that especially in times in our industry when we have high turnover with flight instructors, it's important to help the current generation of flight instructors to pass on what they know and their experience as much as possible to the next generation of flight instructors. And over the years, our industry has done better at sometimes than others. But my vision is really more of using technology and finding ways that we can use what it's referred to as flipping the classroom, and using technology to have people study at their own pace, and things that we see pieces of. But as far as a safety message, I guess my call to action would be for other leaders in the industry to join with me, and let's find a way to help give that base of knowledge to the newest generation of flight instructors and help them to be successful, even though most of them are not going to be flight instructing for very long.
Very good. Well, Jim, I will answer that call. If you are putting together something for instructors to mentor other newly minted instructors, I'm all about that as well, and I concur with what you say. It's best to help them learn from the challenges that we've successfully negotiated and pass on knowledge and experience to make aviation safer for all of us in flying. So, Jim Pitman, Regional CFI of the Year from Glendale, Arizona. Please accept our appreciation for all you do for our aviation community, and congratulations again on your tremendous accomplishment as a General Aviation Regional Award winner, CFI of the Year.
Thank you.
All right, and now, may I remind you that you have been watching a pre-recorded interview broadcast by the Florida Aviation Network, a cooperative effort with the National Aviation Safety Foundation. You can view this and many other broadcasts on our YouTube channel, accessed from the website floridaaviationnetwork.com. And your tax-deductible contributions to the 501c3 corporation are most welcome. I'm Ron Timmermans, a host for the Florida Aviation Network, wishing you many joys and safe flights. Thank you for watching.